Fleet Street, London, EC4 was, I had an office in Fleet Street. I ran a communications consultancy called Pan Communications. And Flea Street had newspapers. The Daily Telegraph, the Times, the Daily Mail, the Mirror, the Express, all of these were on Flea Street. And I used to meet many of them in the pubs along the street. And from the Temple, which was the north end, to Blackfriars or Ludgate Circus, which was in the south end, there was a standard bet that you couldn't go into any one of the into all of the pubs and drink a half pint of beer. But you had to go down the street, and if you could see a swing sign of a pub anywhere, you'd have to go down that lane, have a half pint, and come back up. Nobody did it. I didn't either. Quick camera move to Orly Airport in Paris. It's about 7 in the evening on a cold August evening. I'm waiting for a flight back to London. There's nobody there to tell us what is happening. Then finally, a very French voice gets on the tannoy and tells all passengers on flight so-and-so to go down the stairs. We go down the stairs. We meet another French airport official. Nobody from the airline that we were traveling on, which was British European Airways, BEA. Nobody from there, who says, the flight has been delayed. Will you please go back upstairs? We'll get you a bus in a few minutes to take you to the aircraft. So we go back upstairs. I'm famished. So I ordered 2 hot dogs and a glass of beer. The 2 hot dogs come with a lot of onions and a lot of Dijon mustard. I don't know how many of you know Dijon mustard. English mustard is very, very sharp. Dijon mustard is less sharp, but has a tremendous aroma. So I take these, and I sit at the table, and I start chomping on them when the tannoy goes again and calls all passengers from BEA down the stairs. So we go down the stairs, me with my 2 hot dogs, smelling very nice. I quaff my beer back, go down, and they say, no, your flight has been moved from Orly to Le Bourget, and there is a bus waiting for you. So we clamber on the bus. And of course, August, raining, reasonably cold, bus heated. I walk on board with my 2 Dijon hot dogs, and everybody goes as I walk past, and I walk all the way down to the back, and I eat my 2 hot dogs. The bus takes off. We go to Le Bourget. The bus moves up onto the tarmac. The British European Airways aircraft is over there. There are steps for us to get on board the aircraft. Security. It was around then. Security was around that many years ago. No security. We go straight onto the aircraft. And as I get on with my briefcase, of course, I had my briefcase while I was holding my hot dogs. So I finish my hot dogs, I get my briefcase, go up, walk through the door, and this British European Airways executive, I think his name was Christopher Wyatt. Christopher Wyatt says, will you step this way, sir? And he points forward to the pilot section of the plane. So I say yes, because I'm in economy, which is aft. So I walk this way and put my bag down. And he says, can I frisk? So I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, you've heard of security checks, haven't you? So I said, yes, but I'm already on the aircraft. And I'm already on board. So will you please tell me what you are now going to do? And I reach under, and of course this chap panics. And I say young fellow, in fact he wasn't much younger or older than I was then, because I was in my what? I was 26, 27. So I said, listen, what I want you to do is make sure that the commander of this flight apologizes to all our passengers. We've been at Orly for I don't know how long. We've then been stuck on a bus and taken to Le Boucher. We're now on an aircraft with a security check taking place on board. I'm sorry, I think you have to get the commander to apologize. This chap calls his purser, who is Christopher Wyatt was about my height. Purser is a little higher. He arrives, and I turn around to him and say, listen, I don't want to talk to you, I want to talk to the commander. Anyway, they usher me to a seat, small bottle of champagne, courtesy British European Airways, and the flight takes off. And of course, Paris to London is about 35 minutes. We land in London. I get out, I go home. Next morning I arrive in Flea Street. I pick up the phone and speak to my friend at the Sunday Mirror. I say, can I come and see you? I tell him the story. The moment I do that, he pulls out his typewriter. Typewriter, you know, where you... Yeah? You? No, you don't. Okay. A pre-generation word processor. He gets out his typewriter, and as I speak, he starts typing. Captain Scotland was the commander of the flight. The purser's name I can't remember. Christopher Wyatt I can't remember. He puts all this down, and he says, can we go with this? And I said, yes. That must have been about 10 in the morning. About 3 in the afternoon, I get a call. Mr. Raja, Mr. Jagdish Raja, my name is Jeremy Whittaker from British European Airways. Could you spare me a moment, Mr. Raja? I'm down at the bottom of Flea Street. Can I come up and see you? I said, all right. So he comes up. He invites me down to the pub, buys me a pint, and says, you know, Mr. Raja, we're very embarrassed about what happened last night. And I've been asked by British European Airways to ask you to, I believe you have spoken to the Sunday Mirror about this, and could we ask you to retract the story, please? Idiot Jagdish. I said, yes. So he gets on, of course, the pub we were in has a stack of public phone boxes. This chap runs up to one of those, pops his 4 pennies in, dials the number, speaks to his office, comes back and says, thank you very much, and he disappears. I go home. Next morning, I come back to Flea Street. The group secretary that we have says, so-and-so from the Sunday Mirror wants you to come across there immediately. I go across. I can't remember his name for the life of me. He shows me galley proofs of the article that he had typed out the day before. He shows me a page makeup of where this article was going to go. And he says, Jag, we would have had questions asked in the House. So I said, House? He said, yes, the House of Commons. They would have had questions asked about this. And you idiot, you pulled the story out. I would have gone down in history. I would have been in Antarctica. I would have been sailing down the Amazon. And instead of which, on Flea Street, I asked Julian Whitaker, whatever his name was, to say, okay, pull the story out.